happened as a result of the design that was a bit of serendipity. There's a waterway that courses out from the World Piazza at the base of the tower, and that waterway kind of rambles out into the golf course as if the water source for the golf comes out of the World Piazza or the lake on the other side of the Hall of Fame that's bound by the Walk of Champions. All of those elements from above are kind of knit together and flow together. Well, that waterway that comes out from the World Piazza comes out right to the edge of the 18th green. So when you hole out and finish your round of play with your foursome, in certain sky and light conditions, the entire height of the tower is reflected in that waterway from your feet, and it just kind of, again, symbolically connects you back to the history, heritage, and tradition of the sport, because you've just played the premier golf course right there at the Hall of Fame. It all works in a great composition.
Just jumping back in here now with the opening of the King and the Bear golf course. We opened it November 15th of 2000, and we talked about the unique characteristics of the Slammer and Squire. The King and Bear certainly is maybe has the most unique characteristics in the fact that the King, Arnold Palmer, and the Bear, Jack Nicklaus, co-designed this golf course, and this is the first ever and maybe only ever collaboration where the two really designed and truly designed every single hole together. They stood on the tee as we were doing the routing plan and looking at the holes, and decided where the bunkers would go and what the green complex would be and how it would be set in there around the bunkers and other things, and so that in itself makes this golf course very special and very unique, to know that truly two of the greatest players to ever play the game stood in the same place you're standing on the first tee, and thinking about how this hole should be laid out and putting together something that they hope to be a great and unique playing opportunity for you as a golfer. With that, we wanted it to be a bit more of a country club feel to it, even though we're a part of the World Golf Village Resort. We wanted it to feel more like a country club, and you can get that sense as you start to drive through the community. And you'll see a couple holes on your way to the clubhouse. You'll start to see hole number 8 and how it's lined with a lake and coquina stones that take you up to the green. And it's a beautiful drive when you're coming in. And then you'll start to see hole number 1 that has a bunker that's a beach bunker feeding into the waterway. And then you turn to see the beautiful clubhouse that represents the King and Bear golf course. So it's a great drive-in. You do get the sense of it feeling like a country club, even though it is a resort with memberships, and the staff there is truly committed to the country club feel and the membership experience for all those who are members of the King and Bear. And you can see that when you're there, that it really again, you step into nature as you step onto the first tee, and you step into what we see is the 200-year-old oaks, and just a great, unique look to the golf course. And the clubhouse really serves as the core of the overall development. And I'll just tell you a quick story before I turn it back over to Rick to define some of the real estate framework. Is that right before we went over to take a little tour of the land that was yet to be the King and the Bear golf course, we sat in the Davidson development and had a little briefing about what we were about to see. And Rick Pariani, my co-host, was giving us the tour for the day. And he said, as we drive through the golf course, or the property that will be the golf course someday, you'll see that where the clubhouse will be, there'll be an elevation change, and that's where we're going to put the golf course. So we drove around. We took a tour of all the different holes and where everything will be, and I finally stopped Rick and asked him about that elevation change and where the clubhouse could be. And he turned around and he pointed to this spot that was kind of in the middle, and he said, "See that elevation change of about 2 feet? That's where we're going to be putting the golf course." So so when you see the King and the Bear golf course, you can see that it was a very, very flat piece of land, and a lot of ground was moved to design what's now a beautiful golf course and a beautiful community.
One thing that distinguishes the King and the Bear separate from the Slammer and the Squire is the development goals associated with the course. You know, obviously, the Slammer and the Squire works hand in glove with the Hall of Fame experience. You can literally visit the Hall of Fame without playing golf, but along your way of arriving at the Hall of Fame, you get magnificent vistas over the course. The course essentially greets you as a visitor, and the landscape of that course and the open vistas across it kind of bring you to your destination. You get magnificent vistas out over the course from the second level of the Hall of Fame and certainly from its observation tower. And it all kind of works together where the golf is actually a part of the outdoor display of the museum itself. When we moved to the King and the Bear, we knew that we had to deliver a development foundation that was worthy of the unique collaboration between Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, a collaboration that had never existed before in golf and is a one-time only, never to be duplicated collaboration as well. So that raised the stakes of how it is that we could deliver the second golf course in the portfolio of golf at World Golf Village, but still maximize our community and neighborhood development objectives. The way that we did that is we worked on an arrival and a setting that can be enjoyed daily by the residents, but it certainly is unique to the visitor who happens to just be there for the day or for an extended stay to play golf and enjoy the clubhouse amenities. That experience is evident in the family of monuments and signage elements and wayfinding devices and what I call territorial boundary markers. So in other words, when you first arrive at the front door to the community, you're greeted with the signature Irish boundary fence and punctuated by a system of stone columns and the 50-foot tall stone lighthouse. Those elements in material palette are repeated along the way, but you don't discover an interface to golf and the golf landscape and vistas until about 2 miles along your way into the neighborhood. But once you do, that encounter with golf from your arrival in your car carries you right around the bend, sweeps vistas from the green to the tee on number 1, swings you around, and you now go through a portal to the clubhouse that is landmarked with the signature windmill. And then once you course into the clubhouse, you discover that whole environment that you really don't see as a resident, daily resident from outside. So that whole sense of arrival is appreciated coming and going on a daily basis by the residents with no conflict to the golf visitor, who also can appreciate it and enjoys it just as much, and it's a part of his memory for their stay at the golf course. Those elements really work together to create a unique blend between the golf course environment and the neighborhood environment. And they are evident in the way in which they are used in the golf course is that same material palette, and arts and crafts expression is used for the architecture of the clubhouse, and it's used for the individual course markers out on the fairways. The other thing that we did at the in terms of community design to balance the golf and to really ensure its quality experience is like we mentioned earlier, we used a routing plan that did not necessitate the construction of expensive bridges. At the Slammer and Esquire, we invested in those bridges because it's much more of a resort-like destination experience. The country club aspects of the King and the Bear, you know, kind of call for a little bit more of a low-key approach. So still, you can play 18 holes at the King and the Bear, and you have one crossing with a vehicular drive, and that vehicular drive, like we mentioned, only services 18 single-family homes. Think about that in contrast to many of the other area or any golf course that you play, where you get in your cart, you don't even think about walking it because of distance from green to tees, but you get in your cart, and oftentimes 10, 12, 13 times in a round of 18 holes, you literally leave the course. You have to go down between side yards, cross sidewalk, cross a street, go down a street sometimes, come back up, come between houses, and find the tee and start playing again. It lengthens the play, and it really interrupts the flow and the sensibility of play, and it erodes the quality experience. At World Golf Village, whether you have invested in real estate and chosen to live there, or whether you play occasionally or weekly, both of those experiences, from your home to the play of golf, have an equal quality and a great balance between them.
Thank you, Rick. And I'm just going to double check to see if we've got any questions that have come in. Is there any final remarks either of you would like to make?
Cathy, how about you? Would you like to?
Well, I'll just say we went through a lot of wonderful aspects of the community, and I would just say it is a wonderful and unique experience for a golfer to know that they're playing courses that are in the shadow of the Hall of Fame, designed by 4 of the greatest folks to ever play the game.
Rick, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you. It is true, there was a tremendous talent pool that was assembled over many years that are responsible for the quality and integrity and character and uniqueness of every aspect of World Golf Village. One of those elements, though, that is unique in its own right is that there is a silver thread that is woven through the fabric of the World Golf Village community elements, and that silver thread is evident in its landscape, in its layout, in its design, in its monumentation and signage program and lighting program, all of those elements. But the other part of that silver thread story is, which is really unusual, is that from inception in starting in 1988, carrying forth still today, is that silver thread of the development sensibilities that have been brought to bear by the Davidson companies, who have been privileged to carry through from the original ownership with the Donovan family to today with the Hillman family, and the ability to work with all of the key partners from inception to today and stay involved. And that is most unusual with the delivery of large-scale mixed-use communities who normally continue to change in leadership and ownership over time. But here at World Golf Village, there's a real continuity in that aspect.
Thank you so much, Rick and Cathy, also.